Hi. Hi, everyone. It's good to see you. I'm Debra Zachau, and I just created the Clarity Tarot deck, which will be out in May. And I'm here to teach you how to give an awesome reading. So there is going to be something that you're going to hear today that is going to make you a better advisor. I promise. There is going to be either, well, a minimum of one thing. If there isn't, if you get through the whole hour and you haven't learned something that betters you as an advisor, I want you to contact me. I just put all my information in the chat. So you email me, you give me a call, go to my website, doesn't matter how you do it, but you have to get a hold of me because this is my intention. And that's what makes a good show. That's what makes a good reading. After today, you're not going to get the heebie-jeebies about having to do a reading. You're not going to ever have a blank mind where you throw cards down, 10 cards down, you don't know where to start. You can't get the message from spirit. Believe me, all of that's going to evaporate today. So thank you for the people who took time to show up in person. I appreciate that. And those that are on the replay, again, the promise still stands. So if you still need pointers on how to do an awesome reading, just give me a call. I also do one-on-one training. I have a video course that will train you the way I've done it. Now, I've worked on the hotlines for years, and I have my own practice. I have a video course. So I've been in the business a long time, and there's a few things that I have discovered about the tarot, about giving a reading, giving a good reading, that are always true. So even though we're dealing with metaphysics and things can get kind of hazy and metaphysical and spiritual and angelic, and we want to point people to that hope for sure. We also are people's grounding mechanism. When they're in crisis, they want to, well, by the time they've come to you, let's be honest, their crisis, they've already been through it with their friends. They've already talked to their coworkers about it. They've already talked about it to their family, possibly. And now they're reaching out to you. They may be your friend, but most likely, if you're a professional, this is a stranger calling you. And so you've known that that's the road they've already traveled by the time you answer the phone or get on the video or however you do it. So understand that to be true. And those of you who think, oh, what if I'm wrong in my reading? What if I say something wrong? That is impossible. And the reason for that is because that is not your intention. We are such powerful beings and manifestors that if it is not your intention, you didn't get up this morning. I didn't get up this morning saying, I'm going to go on this show and make everyone crazy and confused. That's not my intention. My intention is to serve you well, just like your intention is to serve someone else well when they call you for advice, and you're using the tarot. So there are a few things that I have learned through the years that are always and nevers. And that is what I'm going to share with you today. One of the always that I rely on is what I just mentioned. I know that whenever my phone is ringing, when I'm available to work, and I have someone calling me up, my intention is to serve them well. If during that reading, there is some conflict, I don't ever get nervous about that conflict because I have that my intention to serve them well. And when I say something in a reading, that this is the most probable future, I never go back on that. I never reconsider once I learn more information from the client. So that's where the nebulous stuff starts. And that's when you start saying, well, let me reconsider this. Let me look at this differently. You don't want to do that. What you do is you start your reading after you get a certain amount of information, which I'll teach you today. And then you start speaking from source from that point. So I want to thank you so much for showing up. Let me see who's here. And first of all, oh, and another thing, if you have a question, all you have to do is raise your hand or whatever, and we'll stop and I'll unmute you and we'll talk back and forth. But how should I begin? Let's see. The one thing I always do when I talk to someone who's come to me with a problem, and I'm doing an awesome reading, getting ready to do an awesome reading, is that I ask for their first name and birthday. Their first name so I can be friendly with them, and their birthday to ensure that that person is over 18. I don't do readings on people under 18, and I hope you don't either, so that will give you an idea of how old they are. And it'll be on record, because if you're working for the hotlines or working for yourself and you're recording it, that is your evidence that they're over 18. I also do numerology, and that's a totally different subject. I know it's kind of off the tarot stuff, but it does add to my success. And that is that if I do someone's birth date and figure out what their life path number is, it tells me how that person takes in information. For instance, if the phone call is a couple, a lady, they just had a terrible fight with her boyfriend. Is it over? Say that's the question. And I know that that person is a life path 5, let's say. I know that her life trait is to not spend a whole lot of time in grief. These people can switch and change ideas and perspectives pretty fluid-like. Whereas if it's a 9 life path, this person really has a hard time letting go of things. So I know that right away from my first few minutes with my client, what kind of personality they have. I also ask for the numbers for their the birth dates, first name and birth date for their boyfriend, because, and this is important for you to always remember, is that when I do a reading about this big fight that happened, I'm going to look through her boyfriend's eyes regarding the situation. That's very, very important. I already know how she feels. She feels upset. She wants to know how he feels. So I am not going to spend 1 minute reading her, except for getting her life path number, so I know how she enjoys her information, how she processes her information. So when I'm looking through her boyfriend's eyes regarding the situation of the fight that they had, that's when I start speaking. I keep reminding the client that that's what I'm saying. Even though, because I might say something, oh, he's upset about this or that or whatever. And well, I don't think that's true. She may say, well, I don't think that's true. But say, oh, remind her, I'm not reading you and what you feel is true. I'm reading what's going on behind his eyes. And so this is the time where you just accept what's coming through and then course correct your thinking to better serve yourself in the situation. So that is paramount to remember when I say there's things about always and nevers. You always want to remind the client, if you have to, but always keep in mind that you are reading someone other than the person in front of you, or other than the person that's on the phone. So that will keep your perspective and keep you from drifting into serving the client who's calling versus having a better understanding of who you're reading. Does that make sense? So keeping in mind, and also I actually, what comes to mind right this minute is I was doing a call yesterday. I was on a call yesterday, and this flips back to where you're wondering if if you make a mistake as an advisor. And I also want to express that whoever is in front of you having the reading is supposed to be in front of you having the reading. So there, it's assume you're going to be fine. But what's interesting is yesterday I had a woman call, and she's married to a woman, and they are in separate provinces. So they're in Canada, both nurses, and they're having a fight. So she wants to know the most probable future for this situation. So I could tell by her voice that she was Filipina. So that also enters my consciousness as far as the culture goes. And then when I did the reading, this is another always kind of rule I go by, is I flip 10 cards, which is the Celtic cross. And that gives me an idea of what's going on right now. And if the 10th card is not a major card, I keep flipping until I get a major card, each card representing 30 days, about 30 days. So the future's fluid, you all know that. So between 2 and 6 weeks for each card, but I'd say about a month. And what was interesting is that if I flip cards and I don't get a major card for, let's say, 6 or 8 months, then I pretty much stop the reading and don't go farther, because the farther you get from the point of reading, the less likely your predictions will come through. This has been my experience. The less likely it is to, because the most probable future is if everything stays the same as it is right now. Nobody files for divorce, nobody walks out, nobody finds someone else, you know, that kind of thing. And that's what makes the future so fluid. So what I did was I flipped, and it went on and on and on, like for several months, almost the whole year. And what was curious about it is, as I flipped the cards, I noticed that there's family of origin that came in as a topic. Now, not every single card you pull in a reading is going to be information for your client. That's another rule that I go by. Some of it is a placeholder, just a card that just needed to be there because it has no real meaning. It just needed to hold space there. And sometimes it's information that spirit is giving you about your client. And what was curious is that as I flipped, and those of you who know the tarot will know, I had the 10 of Pentacles reversed, which is a problem with family of origin. The next card was the 3 of Wands, telling me that it was a distance problem or a commerce problem. And then the next card after that was the 6 of Cups, which is happy family reunions and things like that. So anyway, this is what I saw coming later on in the year 2022. It's like 8 months from now, I see this family stuff coming in. And I did mention a little bit about that, and I don't go too far away from the, I'll just go a few weeks. And I gave her the predictions of most probable future for the next few weeks. And then I saw this family issue, and that's when my client was saying, yes, we're sponsoring her family from the Philippines to come live with them. So it just changed the dynamic. It was wonderful that the cards had told that to me before. Of course, I had the information, but it just made everything sync up. Now, the reason I stop once there is a major card after the Celtic Cross, so the 11th, so the 10th card is this month, it'll be March, right? So that's the 10th card. The 11th card, if it's not a major card, would be April and May, June, July. That kind of gives me an idea of the phase that person's in also. So let's say you go 3 or 4 months and you get a major card. It means that between now and that major card, it's like that's the phase this person's in. That's that if everything stays the same, this is the most probable future, and this is how long it's going to take. That's how I do the timing. So so those are some pointers on how I give awesome readings. Number one is, of course, knowing who you're reading for, knowing that your intention is to serve, knowing that not every single card that comes into a reading is a card you have to tell your client about or have to force it into a story. If something doesn't click right when it's there, then go to the next card. And then also about the phase. If the last card on the Celtic Cross is not major, then keep laying them down until you get a major, and that'll kind of give you an idea of the most probable future. So those are my pointers, and I'm just curious if I'm going to look at the chat really quick, see if there's any. Oh, got some. Would you like to, let's see, is there a question? Does anybody want to ask a question in the chat or unmute yourself so I can hear you? So those are the basics on how to give awesome readings. There are so many different ways to read each and every card that comes out. I'd love to do a reading if somebody would like to have one done, and I'll can show you how things are. But we don't have Dax.
I'm here. I loved a lot of that, especially when you were talking about the numerology, because I mean, that's right up my alley. Sharona too. Sharona and I we're going to do a little talk about numerology coming up. I think it's actually, Sharona, is it next weekend, next Sunday?
It's next Sunday, Dex.
Wow.
Awesome.
So exciting. But it fits in what you said, Deborah, fits in perfect. You know, because
it's an amazing tool.
It informs you, you know, you know who you're reading for then, and if you're able to get the numbers for anybody else that the reading involves, you know what's going on with them too, like you mentioned, like a girlfriend boyfriend, you know, situation. And a lot of times I'll do somebody's numerology before the actual session, and I'll send them their whole chart and do a whole report. Actually, I'll do all 9 numbers in the chart, send it out to them. The numerology itself answers all their questions. And not always, but you know, I mean, a lot of times it'll answer a lot of the questions, or it'll give them information where they will change their questions, or now have additional questions, you see.
Yeah, the thing is that if I have someone dating someone who, and this is a lot, you know, with dating and relationships where it gets hot and cold. Well, and I find out that their partner is a 7 life path. I think, oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. They have their own atmosphere, you know, 7 life paths. Are so interested in certain things. They'll go down a rabbit hole, and and lose themselves. And so you need a partner to give that information to my client, who's their partner, to research what a life path 7 person is. It'll give them the good points and give them their kryptonite, and a lot of times a life path 7 is just fine on their own. Kiss them goodbye in the morning. They're good all day. They don't have to text. They don't have to touch base. They're fine. They'll do, you know what I'm saying? It's just they're very, very secure in their relationships. Whereas if you get someone who's not as secure, and also it's been my experience with 7 life paths that they're not curious. They don't mirror back your best self as much because they're kind of self-absorbed, but not in a bad way. Somebody just raised a hand, and
That was me.
Oh,
Rachel.
hi. Hi, Rachel.
Can I ask you to do a reading?
Sure. Let me find my
Okay.
card. Do you have a specific question?
Oh, I do. I do. I don't think it would be much fun if I didn't.
I don't mind generals, but first of all,
Really?
Oh no, I don't mind generals at all. I love general readings.
Really?
What's your birthday, Rachel?
2-4-53.
Got it. Okay.
Well, maybe we should do a general then, because I have no idea how to do a general reading.
All right. Okay. I'd be happy to do one for you. Just a second here. I'm just going to do your 6 life path. That's divine order. Having a 3 personal year. So your strawberries are going to be planted well and creatively.
Yay.
Yay. So this is a good example of how to do a general reading. First of all, I'm just going to say more because I'm in a teaching mode versus what I would do actually if you were a real client. You are my real client for a general, so I'm going to do that. And Rachel, we've got your number. It's a 6. Now, divine order is the blessing of a 6 life path, and that is beauty, balance, harmony, all of that stuff. And I am going to, now I've got my deck here, I'm going to flip up some cards and I'll just sing out what the cards are. So I have the upright Knight of Swords crossed by the 6 of Pentacles, Ace of Swords reversed for the bottom part, 8 of Pentacles for direct past. So, and then the Empress reversed. So now that I have the cross, because I have the first 6 cards, 5-6 cards, I can tell that the possible reason you're coming to this reading for a general is that in general, the seasonal part of your life, it's this shift in seasons because of the Empress being reversed, some of the finances reversed. I've got the 9 of Cups for the next month, say the month of March. It is reversed. I have 2 aces here. Some of these cards are not, I don't feel have a real anchoring effect, so I'm not going to speak them out because I don't feel they're here. I do have an older gentleman who may be either in spirit or going, or is part of your family that might have, I'm thinking maybe you could call him or he's reaching out. And I also have the Ace of Pentacles, meaning that whatever you are planting now, we're just talking about your garden, planting things, but then it's going to prosper. So that's what I'm getting here. Also, there's believe that because of the Ace of Wands reverse, that possibly you're not sure whether you should go and do something or not. That might be part of your question. So starting with that, can I have specifics? Oh, there it is.
The older gentleman is my 91-year-old uncle who is dementia-ing
Oh.
far away, like 1,000 miles away,
Mhm.
that it's just not the season for me to travel to see him. Though if I could be beamed there right away, I would love to do it.
Right.
And then the thing about wanting to do something, that would have been the question I was going to ask you.
Mhm.
All right, background. I live in pretty much the backwoods of the Ozarks, and a lot of people here are very, what you might call conventional spiritual Christians, who I do not tell people what I do. So we're talking about healing work, which is, I believe, very spiritual, and the guidance work, which also is, but I have an urge to give more
Mhm.
to the people who are, well, they're not really around me. They're like 17 miles away in town. And I have an urge to participate more, but I am concerned about the sociological things.
Right. Right.
So the question is kind of how, or if, or how I can, or should I even try to work locally.
So what's interesting, Rachel, is that, remember I was saying it when you give an awesome reading, and you start predicting the future. And I said, if everything stays the same, the way it is now, this is the most probable future. If we, and at the end of our conversation, you can change your mind about this, but it looks like if we don't come together with an idea that is so overwhelmingly exciting to you to get out there, it looks like this urge is going to come and go. You're going to have, it's because I have 2 reverse pages for the coming months, meaning that there's fits and starts. You want to do it, but you're backing out. Now, one of the pages is the Page of Swords reversed, meaning that's the Sheldon Cooper of the deck. the page of Swords is Sheldon Cooper from The Big Bang Theory to me, because he's just so smart and bright. And then when it's reversed, it's like, well, wait a minute, we can't go to the movies because we have to be at a certain time for dinner, and even all this craziness, this divine order comes in, and it puts everything in delay, right? So that's what you have here coming out for next month. So unless we can put our heads together and you have something tangible that you can start out, you'd have to, I don't know if you could get out there on your own. As far as doing it, I believe that there is a way to succeed and go out and be who you are on an overt level around the conservative Ozarks, because I have the world card at the end of about 3 months. Right now it's reversed, but the potential of having it upright is there. So I know there's an answer. There is an actual plotting we can do together to get you out and about. Now, I think maybe this might be, like I said, seasonal. If you were to go out, I don't know what it's like around there. Is there a place you could actually rent to give readings out of? I mean, to share rent,
Yeah.
like chiropractor, or some kind of
Yeah,
area?
there have been recent developments which would
Oh,
possibly create, there could be a space downtown.
awesome. Oh, that's wonderful. So it looks like there's potential for success there. But it also looks like as it stands now, you're going to talk yourself out of it. Keep talking yourself out of it because it is a big step. It is a big step. And you also have the distraction of your garden right now. So I think I tend to talk yourself out of it. Now, there is something I could add to this story from my own history that may enlighten you and give you some power or some motivation, because it does look like there's success available. We just have to find the right avenue for it. And it's been my experience here. I'm in Southern California, and there is a place, a little knick-knack store from near close to the beach somewhere down the road. And there's a lady that does card readings, psychic readings out of there, and she doesn't take any appointments. She never reads over the phone. I don't know, it's different now probably because of COVID, but it might not be. But she just shows up and the line starts. So there's no scheduling. There's no, when she's there, the sign goes up, she's in, and people come in. And so basically when the sign goes up that she's in, everyone gets on their phone. You see what I'm saying? So that would alleviate, that would be something you might be doing so you don't have the pressure of scheduling, showing up or anything. Everyone will just know that that pink door or the purple door or the, when that is open or when the sign goes up, then Rachel is available. And then if you become a mystery and you become exciting, how does that land?
Like a great fairy tale. I mean, it sounds wonderful. And if I lived in a place where it was a city, where there were actually a lot of people, where most of the people were not of a different kind of perception,
Hence,
that would be great.
ladies
Yeah.
and gentlemen, hence the reverse pages. That's the conversation you have with someone. This is, so that would be a fairy tale to someone that's a 6 life path, that have 2 pages reversed on the prospect of opening up a controversial business. Okay, but I just have to remind you, there is a way to do it comfortably, because I have the ace of, excuse me, the world here, triumph. You can triumph over this. It is reversed at this time, but
It is inspiring that it could be done.
there is a way to do it.
That's pretty cool, because that's what I was thinking of, since there are these new spaces opening up.
Mhm.
So thank
Right.
you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And we can talk about this again. My information is online. We can go a little deeper into it. Now, you are in a 3 personal year, which is the reason why your creativity is so high. And so basically, I say this to anybody who's having a 3 personal year, if you just go and do it. So you get an idea to write a short story or plant a field or do a reading or put out a shingle with your new business, just do it. Then what is supposed to anchor will do it quickly with a 3, because your creativity is really spot on.
Yeah, she has like all that 6 energy, that nurturing energy. Attitude number 6, life path number 6 in a 3 personal year, creativity and communication.
Perfect
You know,
advisor.
it's so hard. I've been mostly in the last decade or more, talking more about, what can be done online and access to the the larger, the world. You got the world card there, you have access to the whole world when you go through online. But doing things locally, God, it's so location specific. I know, like, if I was where Rachel is and could look around, I could probably figure something out. And I think she could probably do it too, Generally, I tell people that are in, I don't want to say spiritually repressed areas, but the Bible Belt, even the Bible Belt, even Texas has whole food markets. There's gonna be something. Yeah, I like when you said shared space, Deborah, because if you think of shared space, there's got to be holistic practitioners. There's got to be people doing Reiki, chiropractic, hypnosis. There's got to be, Whole Foods like markets, that are more conducive to it, where it could be a start, and then you get known without having to, without just taking any property, office right here at, First and Main, and I put this giant thing in the window, psychic readings, I mean, that might not go over so well, but if you kind of ease into it with shared space,
Yeah.
I think it could be done,
Yeah. Me
It's
too.
possible. It's possible.
It
We'll
is-
tune in and see.
Yes.
Oh, some people, I just want to throw out there, some people that are in certain areas, they end up having to travel. They end up having to go to the next town over, or the one over here that has some amenities like that aren't where you are at, kind of thing. And a lot of folks don't want to do that. I understand, but there are a lot of folks that, they really want to do this. So they pick a couple of times a week where they travel to the other town or 2 towns over, just to get to that right space, where they can do it locally, and that all said, I do have to throw in a plug for, we live in such glorious times where, I mean, we are instantaneously getting information, like from what's going on in Ukraine, via social media, and you can communicate instantaneously around the entire globe,
Mhm.
well, not Russia now, because nothing's happening inside Russia anymore. Yeah, they took it all away.
Yeah.
But everywhere else, right? And so, you can have a client in Belgium and a client in Canada, and I mean, that's my feeling on things. I mean, I started out.
Oh yeah, that
yeah,
part of things I get, and I've been doing it for
good.
decades.
Good.
It's just the new thing that seems to be niggling is trying to do something local with like human beings in person.
Yeah, now, especially now that COVID is waning, it's like people want to get in physical proximity again. They're tired of the screen. I understand that. Yeah. And maybe it's not, something like full time. Maybe it's okay. So on Saturdays, I go to Ericsburg, which is 4 cities over, because they have this, Whole Foods market, where they have massage therapy going on, and crystals, and I open shop up, and I just do it once a week, or I do it twice a week, or, something like that. Or maybe you find a situation closer to home as well. But for everybody else out there, I just wanted to throw that plug out there, that it's so wonderful what we can do nowadays online. And, I just love it. I just love it myself. I mean, I started out, my thing was I always wanted to read in coffee shops. I even opened my own coffee shop so I could read in my coffee shop. And I worked out of, till I did that, I worked out of other people's coffee shops. And I love just, sitting there, having clients, buying them a latte, they'd pay me for a reading and I would send it right back, I'd buy them a latte, and we'd sit
Nice.
there with our lattes and mochas, and do a reading. And of course, everybody else is seeing what's going on. So guess
Mhm.
what? More clients. Yeah, absolutely. Coffee houses are the greatest thing on the planet, for doing reading. But then I started getting into the online stuff, especially because we wanted to bring the Tarot Guild to the world, and even, way before COVID, way before we were not able to see people in person, for the last year and a half that we had that, a decade ago, I was all about the online, because it's just so convenient and you don't have any issues of security. You don't have any issues of, like, a lot of people read out of their houses. I mean, who's coming to your house, or going to someone else's house, or even doing readings out in public. I just love the security of it. There can be anonymity. If you want anonymity, you can, have a reading name online, kind of thing. There's just so many benefits over and above the main benefit, of course, which is that you have access to billions of clients instead of maybe a few tens of thousands where you live.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. But this has been great. Anything else, Deb, before we sign off here? Or?
Well, I just want to say hi to Moria. She just came in.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Moira's
joining us.
here.
Hello, hello. I'm so
You're
sorry.
late.
I got the time wrong.
Where were
I
you?
got the time. I know.
Totally
I
get
got
that.
the time wrong, and I apologize because I was really looking forward to this topic.
You
And
have- you have
I-
We have the recording.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Are you a reader?
yes, I am.
Oh, okay. Then yeah, the recording's there. So
Moira, I was almost late too, because here in Arizona, the time doesn't change, but it changes everywhere else, which means it does change. So like
Yeah.
everything happens now an hour earlier. My radio shows, the workshops, the Q&As, everything happens an hour earlier. And today, and of course I have it written in giant red in my notes, that we're doing the change, but this morning I'm like, going around doing my little, getting my coffee, doing my stuff, and then I'm like, oh, there's only 40 minutes before she wrote this radio show. I thought it had an hour and 40 minutes. Oh no, I got to promote. Oh my God. So I almost missed it. I almost was an hour late myself. Good thing I noticed.
What I'd like to ask, Moya, is there a question or that you had in mind once you heard this was the topic? Was there?
Oh, that's a good question. Dax mentioned something about doing readings online, and I am doing that.
Uh-huh.
One of the challenges that I have is doing it strict through chat, and having a very limited time to be able to get a grip on what the person was asking.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Do you have any advice for that?
I sure do. So the very first thing you do is ask for first names and birthdays, as you know.
Yes.
And you probably, if you know Dax and everyone else, you probably do a little numerology, so you have an idea. But you'll also want to ask for the first name and birthday of the person of interest.
Yes.
I'm assuming you do that. And then the main thing is to say certain things. You're in chat, so you say certain things saying, okay, I'm going, let's say it's I gave the example, we always have ladies calling that they had fights with their boyfriends. Yep. So what I do to set that up is to say, okay, first of all, you type out, I'm really sorry that you're going through this. Is very upsetting, and I'm with you, sister, that kind of thing, and be nice, be friendly about it. you're to imply that they're not alone, but then you specifically say, now I'm going behind his eyes to see how he feels about what happened. One
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah, that's what they
Yeah.
ask me, like, how is he feeling about me and that sort of thing. And I just find it very difficult to get all that information and get it out to the person in such a short period of time. But I guess it'll just take
But what you do
some
is
practice on my
you
part.
just, well, it's practice, but let me explain. So you, I don't know, you're probably typing or voice to text or something like that. Just say that you're looking behind his eyes now for a moment, and then everything's fine for a moment, and then you just peel off 10 cards.
Mhm.
And then not every card is going to fit the scenario. You're going to have a few cards. Let's say the eight of swords comes up. Well, you know, that tells you volumes right there. He's feeling confined with the unspoken expectations.
Right.
That's the eight of swords, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So then you flip some more, and all of a sudden your mind goes to the future. Let's say, because I do, the 10 cards is what's happening right now. But if that 10th card is, let's say, the ace of cups, that means that there's a deepening in the relationship happening. So there's a warm up. And by that time, you've already done this guy's numbers. So you know, if he's a 9 life path, he's not going to give up too easy. If he's a 7 or a 5 life path, he might, or a 1. But you know, there's different ways to interpret, but the cards are going to point to those ways. And
Exactly.
And also what I like to do, because I know what you mean about texting versus on the phone, because you can always go, oh, I feel bad for you. You know, your inflection will comfort them or give them an idea of where you're standing. Whereas when it's just text, you don't have that. So it's important to have some things to say, remember, you're not, it's an uncomfortable spot you're in, and I know it very well, and let me look right now, that type of thing. So you go ahead and take the time to text that.
I use a lot of emojis.
Yes, I've been
Emojis.
doing that too.
Emojis will help, definitely. And so that's how you do it. But remember, they're prepared to pay you the price per minute. And they chose text. I don't know what platform you're reading on, but they usually, you know, if you're available only for chat, then they're saying okay for that time lag. Don't feel pressured to and have anxiety about the cadence. For the life of me, I can't see myself ever asking anything in a chat, because it takes so long. It would eat up my whole amount of money I want to spend. But it's preferred. It's a preferred way of communication. And so with that, you're not going to be able to give all those words that you normally would with your voice. Don't worry about it.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that very much.
Pleasure
Very
is
much.
mine. Thank you for coming on.
And I've mentioned before that I have a bunch of clients like that. And we just do text, but it's not through a reading service. It's not per minute. It's they're paying for a block of time. You know, we're going to do a reading for 40 minutes. This is how much it costs, $120. And however long it takes is however long it takes to me, really, you know, and we just text back and forth. And, you know, they've already asked to do it by text, like you said. And,
Yeah, right.
but they're not paying per minute. They've already paid, you know, set fee. And then, yeah, of course, my, you know, we, you know, someone books for 40 minutes and I end up, you know, talking to them for an hour and a half, but that's just because that's the way I am. You know, I don't charge them for the extra.
Right. Yeah. That's why I like working for a service, because they make sure I don't do that. But on my own, people will pay for 30 minutes or an hour, and I tend to give more than that, but that's the teacher in me too. So, but I like working for a service, because then that's where I make my money. And then I can be comfortable doing things like this, you know, giving information or writing books or all that stuff.
Right.
Excellent.
Oh God. Well, I can't wait for the next workshop then.
Yay. Ah,
Let's do
thank you so much.
something.
Yay, let's do
Oh,
it.
also want to plug real quick, that you can learn one-on-one with
Yes.
Deborah,
Yes.
and you can find her on the through the Tarot Guild real quickly, because it's
Mhm.
just deborah.thetarotguild.com, and you can just search your name on social media. I mean
Right.
Google, and find her website and everything like that. And of course, you're in the group on
Mhm.
Facebook and everything, and but you also have your video.
My video course.
Yeah, I want you to mention something about that too.
You know, I was doing a lot of basic training for tarot, and I was starting to lose interest in teaching the basics. And then I thought, oh, I better put some videos together before I lose all interest. Well, I still love it. But what happened is I have 30 videos. Yes, they go through each of the cards and everything, but I interpret the cards the way I've come to know them through working on hotlines. And the average, person who reaches out is either love or money kind of thing. So that's how I interpret it. Plus some practice videos are practice readings on how to interpret and how to do 3 cards. There's a whole bunch of different ways to do it quickly online when you're in business. It's 3 cards, but it doesn't have to be what past, present, future. There's
Mhm.
3 cards. You have to determine whether they're present, present, present. Maybe they're past, present, present. There's different ways to figure out what the 3 cards are, but and I teach all of that. So it's 30, and then after that, there's practice sessions that I offer for like $25 for an afternoon, whereas a bunch of people come on and we just do practice readings. And it's a lot like this, where you just ask questions,
Oh, cool.
how to do the business part,
Mhm.
and fun ways to do readings and stuff. So
That's cool. I'll
Yeah.
definitely check that out.
I
Thank
want
you
to
very
see you successful.
much. Me too.
We'll get you going. We'll get you going. Yeah, give me a call.
Sure.
Thanks. Thanks, Dex, for everything. I can't hear you.
Oh, forgot to
Bummer.
turn the mute off. Yeah, it's kind of loud. I moved inside, and but yeah, we're going to stop the recording now. I hope everybody got something great out of this. And of course,
you.
this dovetails nicely. A lot of the stuff you said leads right into what Sharona and I are going to be talking about in the next workshop on numerology and tarot.
All right. Awesome.
Awesome.
Bye,
All right.
everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.